All right, so I want to cover the big five emotions of mad, sad, glad, scared, numb, with an extra focus on mad today. Now, a big topic that comes up in a lot of my sessions is regarding anger. A lot of the people who reach out to me have what I call an allergic reaction to anger. When they experience anger themselves or they are in front of someone else who experiences anger, they kind of freeze and they don't really know what to do. Often they go into kind of a people pleasing mode, or they kind of dance around it, or they shut down and stuff. So I wanted to talk a little bit more specifically about anger. In part, the message that it communicates actually about responsibility and repair. Now, when people think about anger, responsibility and repair aren't usually what comes to mind. Usually, anger is considered to be this big, explosive, destructive kind of emotion where it doesn't quite align with helping people to connect more deeply. Actually, it's considered to disconnect people. But anger with its cousin, guilt, actually are originally designed to help relationships become more strengthened. So if we think about anger and guilt in terms of responsibility, the main messages that they're supposed to communicate are, with anger, you've done something to negatively affect this outcome or this relationship. So I hold you responsible to fix it. Healthy guilt says, I've done something to negatively affect this outcome or this relationship, so I hold myself responsible to repair it. So anger and guilt, contrary to what a lot of people think about them, they're not bad emotions. In fact, they're supposed to be used to help restore relationships that have already been ruptured. So an example is, let's say that you go over to a friend's house and you're in the middle of talking to them and you turn around and you accidentally knock over their lamp. So now the lamp is shattered on the floor. In that moment, you messed up. You broke their lamp. And so the rightful thing to do, because the relationship is now, there's tension involved, would be to say, I am so sorry that I broke your lamp. Let me clean this up and get you a replacement. I'm so sorry for the inconvenience. That act of you acknowledging that you did something not okay would actually help strengthen the relationship, because you're communicating to your friend, hey, what belongs to you really matters to me. And I will do my best to try to restore that back to what it was before, hopefully. On the other hand, let's say the situation is reversed and your friend comes over to your house and in the middle of talking to you, turned around and accidentally knocks over your lamp, and your lamp is now on the floor in broken pieces. Now, the rightful thing to do, because they broke your lamp, is for them to say, hey, I'm so sorry that I broke your lamp. Can I clean this up and get you a new lamp? And I'm so sorry for inconveniencing you. Either case, whether you being at their place breaking their lamp or them being at your place breaking your lamp, if the party who's responsible for the rupture takes ownership of that and takes steps to repair that, all is well. I mean, the lamp is broken, it's going to get replaced, but the relationship afterwards is probably much stronger than it was before there was any broken lamps. Because now there's trust involved. Now going forward, when there's another maybe scary thing or inconvenient thing that happens, each person knows, okay, I will own my stuff, the other person's going to own their stuff. Now we can kind of start extending more and more trust to each other, to enter into scarier things, enter into greater vulnerability, which thereby brings about greater intimacy. Now here's the kicker. Anger and guilt are not bad things. However, they're considered bad because oftentimes people see the unhealthy versions of anger and guilt. Now, the unhealthy version of anger says, I have done something to negatively affect this outcome or this relationship, but I hold you responsible to repair it. That's called blame. On the other hand, unhealthy guilt says, You've done something to negatively affect this dynamic or this outcome, and I hold myself responsible to repair it. That's called self-blame. So anger and guilt are not the issue. The issue is when someone who is held responsible for repair is not actually the person who's really responsible or the person who caused the damage. So we don't have to be squeamish about anger, and we don't have to try to avoid guilt either. The main thing with repairing relationships is that each person sees what is in its rightful place, that we're able to acknowledge and see the truth for what it is, so that we can actually take steps to address a particular situation. And the confusion comes about when there's a mismatch. There's a mismatch between someone who's caused an issue and someone who's taking ownership and repairing it. So the main thing that I'd like for you to consider is, between anger and guilt, what feels more familiar to you? Now, again, I mentioned a lot of people who reach out to me, myself included, we have what's called an allergic reaction to anger. So when anger shows up, we shut down or we pull away or we try to make it go away, etc. Other people may have an allergic reaction to guilt. They generally may not prefer to feel like they've done something wrong. Instead, they like pointing the finger towards other people and considering themselves as being entitled. Oftentimes, their relationships will probably reflect how that's probably not a good arrangement in the long run. So anger and guilt, again, not bad emotions. They are the emotions of responsibility and repair so that our relationships can be vibrant and thriving. So consider for yourself, between your experiences of guilt or anger, whether there's a match between who's held responsible and who is actually responsible. If there's a match, great. Then do as the emotion says. If you are the one who broke the lamp, own it. Clean it up. Fix the lamp or replace it. If you were got that reversed. If you were the person who actually broke it, then go ahead and fix it. If the other person broke your lamp, though, then you have the right to be angry and hold them accountable. Don't let them off the hook. They don't get to walk all over you. On the other hand, if there's a mismatch between the person held responsible and the person who's actually responsible, do consider where that comes from. Oftentimes, the way that we immediately react to situations are based on how we grew up, our environment's grown up, how we've been trained to deal with difficult emotions like anger, sadness, fear, etc. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you want to learn more about emotions and or relationships, check out my blog at allofmecounseling.com/blogs. You can find the link in the comments. So from all of me to all of you, I'll see you next time.